So one of the things I enjoy doing most at Expert Effect is scouting out beautiful locations like this one for our stress resiliency experiences, whether it be at the beach or a mountain environment like this one or a beautiful park, or sometimes we'll even go into an indoor environment if that's our only option and have it turn into something that kind of mimics the natural world. And there's a reason why we do this. Our philosophy at Expert Effect is that something special happens in nature. It would be much easier for our team of stress resiliency experts to educate people on this topic via a Zoom or maybe just going into a conference room at someone's company, which we can definitely do, but there is something unique that goes on when we're in nature. For example, there was a study back in 2019 where they took a group of individuals, and those individuals were charged with going out into nature just for 20 minutes, 3 times a week, for an 8-week period. And they tested the cortisol levels of these individuals. They took a saliva test before and after they were in nature. And guess what? The cortisol levels went down. There's scientific proof that they went down. And there was a cumulative effect over the 8-week period where those cortisol levels dropped even more. So why is that important? Because cortisol, negative stress hormone, we're in the stress state, but also it affects the hippocampus region of the brain. And that is where we process tons of learning, and it also impacts long-term memory. So the reason we do these stress resiliency experiences is we want to create this environment where people in high-performing roles are able to make some behavioral changes in their life, where they can become more resilient to stress. Their mind can become more resilient. Their body can become more resilient. And I can't think of anything better when it comes to learning is to make your body more resilient to stress. That's going to be a game changer for the long term. So what happens is that when we're out in nature with the group, they're acquiring insights and knowledge from our team of stress resiliency experts, but they're going to remember it for the long term. It could be 5 or 10 years from now, and they might not remember all the different podcasts and books they've read, but they'll be like, hey, I remember that stress resiliency experience with Expert Effect on the beach, and I remember this insight, and they hold on to that insight for years and years to come. Also, if they make a commitment to make a behavioral change, because they're out of that stress state, their cortisol levels are lower, they're going to remember it. They're going to want to do it and remember it. And the motivation, that's huge as well. We often bring out experts that specialize in the body and how to put our body in a state of relaxation and restoration. And so when we get people out of the day-to-day hectic lives, like myself, a lot of times I store my stress in my shoulders. I feel the tension, but when I get out in nature and do these stress resiliency experiences, it just melts away. And then I want that more. So I'm like, I'm going to implement this stuff. I actually have the motivation, the learning, and the long-term memory. So if you want to check out one of our stress resiliency experiences, we got a lot of cool opportunities this spring. Coming up here on March 2nd, if you're in LA in the Studio City Hills, which are just beautiful green right now, our relationship expert, Paul Sandbar, is going to go deep on how we can turn relationships with conflict into more healthy relationships so they don't reduce our stress resiliency. And then we're also going to be overlooking the ocean in Del Mar. We're also going to be up in Santa Barbara on the beach with our feet in the sand. And then we're even doing something in Vegas where we are going to turn a hotel ballroom into a whole kind of spa-like cool experience where people can kind of experience that and bring in lots of plants and all sorts of stuff, so it kind of has that nature feel. So if you can do that, come on out to one of our stress resiliency experiences. You can just private message me and we'll get you connected for that. And if you don't do that, get out in nature. Like the study showed, if you can just get out in nature, whether it be your backyard or a park or anything, just for 20 minutes, 3 times a week, you really could feel your cortisol levels go down over the long term.